I'm Jaquela Morris, and this is my YouTube channel, and this is Yap Session 10 of Yapping with a Purpose. And today I'm going to be going over the 17 proposed amendments that are on the statewide elections. That is on November 4th, and I'm going to be reading what it says on Progress Texas about the proposed amendments and what it means if you say yes or if you say no. This is not about being a Democrat. This is not about being Republican. This is about you personally and how these amendments will affect you personally and your rights. So I'm going to just get into it because it's 17 of them. Okay, so Proposition 1 creates an endowment for the Texas State Technical Colleges used to purchase loans and buildings. A yes vote means voting for a TSTC endowment would support a skilled workforce and broader career choices in our college system. A no vote means voting against a TSTC endowment does not support dedicating reliable funding to TSTC to be dedicated elsewhere. Some other people have brought up the point that there was not any oversight on how this money would be spent, so that might be concerning to people who don't trust the government to allocate these funds appropriately. Okay, Proposition number 2 prohibits the establishment of a capital gains tax on assets like real estate, investments, and personal property. A yes vote means voting for a ban on capital gains tax. This protects wealthy Texans and potential for state economic growth. Of note, no such tax was considered by the legislature. This would prohibit future action to propose a capital gains tax. A no vote means voting against a ban on a capital gains tax. A future capital gains tax could shift the tax burden from those more impacted by sales taxes on wealthier Texans. Proposition 3 requires the denial of bail for individuals accused of violent offenses punishable as felonies. A yes vote means voting to support the denial of bail for high-risk individuals. This introduces a financial barrier only put on poorer Texans, as denying bail usually requires a trial, increasing risk of imprisonment to overcrowded jails. A no vote means voting against additional bail reform. Judges already have tools at their disposal to keep accused individuals under state supervision. Proposition 4 dedicates the first $1 billion per fiscal year of sales tax revenue exceeding $46.5 billion to the Texas Water Fund under 2047. A yes vote means voting to support funding from sales tax revenue to the Texas Water Fund. Texas is in a water crisis, facing increased demand and aging infrastructure. Long-term funding would help address these and farmers' needs, as well as our economic growth. A no vote means voting against additional revenue for the Texas Water Fund. This transfers authority to the governor-appointed Texas Water Development Board from the legislature. Proposition number 5 exempts individuals from taxes on animal feed. A yes vote means voting for a tax exemption for those selling animal feed. This could help farmers and ranchers already dealing with rising costs. Animal feed is already tax exempt when harvested or purchased. A no vote means voting against a tax exemption to sell animal feed. This could benefit large businesses selling feed. I think the farmers need tax exempts because we gotta eat. The way the prices going in the grocery store, we gotta eat. Proposition 6 bans new taxes on securities, transactions, and financial market operators aimed at those who work in the stock market today or will work in the Texas stock trade. A yes vote means voting for a ban on stock trade taxes. This would cement protection for those invested in the market and for the new Texas stock trade in Dallas. A no vote means voting against a ban on stock trade taxes. This would only impact the most wealthy Texans, and future reforms and regulations could bring forward budget measures to return revenue to working class Texans who face the brunt of sales and property tax hikes. Proposition 7 provides a property tax exemption for deceased veterans' spouses. A yes vote means voting for tax breaks for veteran widowers. This would provide tax breaks for the unremarried spouses of veterans who died in the line of duty. A no vote means voting against tax breaks for veterans, widows, widowers. This could reduce property tax revenue, impacting local school districts, expected to impact 3,000 Texans. Proposition 8 bans taxes on estate and inheritance. A yes vote means voting for a ban on inheritance taxes. Our state does not have estate taxes, and a ban would prevent future regulations that could level the playing field to shift the tax burden from working families to wealthy Texans. A no vote means voting against a ban on inheritance taxes. A ban would only benefit a handful of Texans, making others pay higher property taxes. Proposition 9 introduces a tax exemption for up to $125,000 worth of business inventory or equipment. A yes vote means voting for a tax exemption for business inventory or equipment. This could help relieve small businesses of large financial costs to produce income derived from expensive equipment or inventory. A no vote means voting against a tax exemption for business inventory or equipment. This tax exemption could be exploited by big businesses and could reduce income for school districts from property taxes, though the state will pay for that loss with general revenue. Proposition 10 introduces a temporary tax exemption for homeowners whose properties were destroyed by fire. A yes vote means voting for tax breaks for victims of house fires. While most individuals might have home insurance, this exemption could be an extra support. A no vote means voting against a tax break for house fire victims. This exemption only applies to those whose houses are completely destroyed. Proposition 11 increases school property tax exemptions from $10,000 to $60,000 for elderly and disabled homeowners. A yes vote means voting for a tax exemption for early and disabled homeowners. The state will pay for losses, and this amendment provides extra support for an expected 2 million homeowners who are more likely to be in fixed income households. A no vote means voting against a tax exemption for elderly and disabled homeowners. This would mean that school districts have to find funding elsewhere than property taxes derived from these individuals. Expands the state commission on judicial conduct. Did I say this was Proposition 12? This is Proposition 12. Expands the state commission on judicial conduct, investigates judicial misconduct, and reviews termination of judgeships. Okay, we need to look into this one right here. Okay. A yes vote means voting for the expansion of the SCJC. This new membership would be outweighed by governor-appointed citizens and could politicize the judicial process. While proponents claim this could help promote accountability, critics claim that this could be used against progressive judges. A no vote means voting against the expansion of the SCJC. Currently, membership includes 6 judges or justices, 2 attorneys, and 5 citizens appointed by different bodies. Voting against this amendment prevents the executive branch from undermining the review of judicial conduct by keeping membership numbers from increasing. Proposition 13 increases school property tax exemption for all homeowners from $100,000 to $140,000. A yes vote means voting for the increase of homestead exemptions. If this was implemented last year, it would have helped homeowners save $490 on average. The state will pay for losses in revenue for school districts, an estimated $2.7 billion for 2026 through 2027. A no vote means voting against the increase of homestead exemptions. This does not benefit renters and leaves less revenue from property taxes to pay for school districts. Okay, Proposition 14 establish the Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas. A yes vote means means voting to fund DPRIT, providing $3 billion in funding and dementia research and prevention to study brain-related conditions, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. This could establish Texas as a national leader in dementia research. A no vote means voting against dedicating funding to DPRIT. One might vote against this if they believe medical research should be left to the private sector. Okay. Proposition 15 codifies parental rights language in the Constitution. A yes vote means voting to codify parental rights language. This could weaponize the Constitution to propagate right-wing cultural wars involving LGBTQ plus family book bans and what's taught in public schools. A no vote means voting against the codification of parental rights language. Parental rights are already outlined in federal case law, and voting against this language being codified will protect against attacks on LGBTQ plus families, book bans, and what's taught in our public schools. I read the sample ballot, and it said it was worded like, should the parents or guardians have like the say so over their kids? Yes they should. So I want it to be unbiased, but this one should be no. Proposition 16 adds citizenship requirements to the Constitution. A yes vote means voting to add citizenship requirements to the Constitution. This is a redundant amendment, as U.S. citizenship is already a requirement to register to vote in Texas. This is an inflammatory response aligned with anti-immigration policies and Stokes' fear about non-citizen voting, an extremely rare phenomenon. A no vote means voting against additional citizenship requirements in the Constitution. This would protect against the Constitution being wielded to propagate xenophobic rhetoric and policies. Proposition 17 provides tax exemption for property involved with border security infrastructure. A yes vote means voting for border security efforts and exemptions for property around the Texas-Mexico border. This could incentivize support for border security infrastructure and shift the tax burden onto other property owners. This could be used to bring forward measures to militarize the border. A no vote means voting against property tax exemptions for border security infrastructure. This amendment could be used to flame xenophobic rhetoric and bolster support for border security infrastructure. Okay. And that's all 17 of the proposed amendments. And I did my best to keep it unbiased. But if you go to Progress Texas, it will tell you the likely way you should vote on these. If you don't know how you want to vote on it. But I'm just going to use my personal values to vote and what I think is right to vote on. So that was just me reading it. And I kept it a little, neutral. So that's just me reading it. It's up to you to decide which way you want to vote on it. And obviously some of these have a specific agenda, so be careful when you go in to read the ballot, because this is a little paraphrase and not the exact wording. Okay, and thank y'all for watching, and I hope you were informed.